Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Tech This Week. My name is Apula. Hope all of you are keeping well. So today I'm going to talk about a area you know, which everybody uses more than one should probably be using. I am talking about social media. And the irony of this today's podcast is I'm using a social media platform to talk about it, right? And what am I going to talk about today? So I'm going to try to break down this concept of where does social media make its money from, and do we see a shift? So I'm going to try breaking down this ad-only social media business model. Is it going to last forever, or are we going to see some changes going ahead? Because to think of it, for the last 15 odd years, social media actually ran on a very simple business model. You know, give the product away for free. Nobody, none of us, most of us at least, you know, pay to use our social media channels, be it uh, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, so on and so forth, right? So you give the product for free and you make money on ads and therefore scale infinitely. It worked so well. In fact, nobody questioned it. But over the last, say, 1 or 2 years, something quietly but decisively has changed. Not because, by the way, ad revenues are falling. On the contrary, it's actually growing at a fairly good rate. But because depending only on ads has somewhat become fragile. The biggest platforms still make almost more than 90 or 95% of their money till date, even still through advertising. And the concentration actually becomes a problem. The question is, why is the ad only model suddenly too thin for the future of social media? And more importantly, if that's not the only way to make money, what replaces? But before that, let's break down the pressures that social media platforms are facing, right? Uh, you know, Privacy actually has changed many things for these social media platforms. Stuff like GDPR, cookie consent walls. We have something like Apple's app tracking transparency. All of these actually kind of weaken the tracking infrastructure that made social media ads immensely profitable and successful. We had very, very targeted ad campaigns. So as a result, the social ad ROI has somewhat come down and reduced. The ads still work, but they're now more expensive and, more importantly, less predictable. Right. Second is, this burgeoning of uh, other digital media channels. So, for instance, a few years ago, if a brand had 100 rupees to spend digitally, the split was very simple. Search was its social. But now there are more alternatives for brands such as, retail media, creator commerce, gaming, and messaging ecosystems. Earlier, these did not exist. Therefore, this means social media is no longer the flag bearer or the owner of digital funnel, right? Third, very, very importantly, the user behavior actually has moved inwards. Think of it of your in your personal capacity as social media users. You spend more time on DMs, groups, creator communities, and private services. And these actually don't monetize the way public feed does. So you can't just drop ad inventory into these private conversations. So the bottom line is, none of these will pressurize and kill ads, but together they make ad-only model fundamentally insufficient. Right? But that's what is facing us. Larger question is, where do we go from here? Right? The social media companies who will win the next decade will have to build businesses around multiple revenue models, not just one. You know, uh, we could have thought of many, but the three, four that came to our mind is as this. Pillar number one, focus on premium users and subscriptions, right? Trying to monetize the top 5%. Because social platforms are realizing something which is very obvious in hindsight. The top users generate massive value and will pay for premium utilities. This means verified accounts, ad feeds, extra storage, tools, and AI features for creators. And this is not small. I mean, it may be a small percentage in terms of numbers, but actual real-time value is fairly huge. In fact, Meta subscription revenue is growing at double digits. Snapchat Plus has more than 10 million subscribers. TikTok is testing new features. So, this entire concept of subscriptions give platforms predictable and high margin revenue that doesn't depend on attention inflation. Second, I think focus has to be on the role of commerce and payments across the social media channels. But social media already influence purchase. Most of us are, uh, are used to buying stuff online, right? Through the social media channels. Now the goal is to capture the entire transaction chain. That includes native shops, creator storefronts, live shopping, in-app checkouts, revenue share of sales. So embedded commerce is what we're I think talking about. Could be a recurring revenue stream for social media platforms. Globally, the few social media platforms that I can think of who are testing the waters. TikTok Shop is already actually proving that social media can directly, drive merchandising value at scale. Instagram is also planning to move in that direction. So is YouTube, right? Third, again, we've all used social media platform, and we all know creators are the heartbeat of social media platform, right? But historically, platforms have monetized around them, but not with them. I'll tell you what I mean. The next phase flips this. Creators get benefits like editing tools, content automation, analytics, scheduling, collaboration tools, watermark-free exports, monetization dashboard, etc. So essentially, what you're trying to do is, platforms will charge creators subscription fees for these tools, just like SaaS. Imagine right now you were making these creators make a lot of money giving certain set of tools. But imagine since this is their livelihood and they want to use all the tools available to them, start charging them like how you go to a SaaS customer. Because see, you have to understand social platforms sit on tons of, uh, data. I mean, it's got the largest creator data sets, the richest behavioral signals, the most personal content archives, and the deepest identity graphs. So therefore, they're perfectly positioned to offer, paid AI capabilities such as, AI editing, AI content generation, AI campaign creation, AI avatars, AI community management, etc. for creators initially and businesses alike. So AI actually could become a revenue layer for social media companies, not just a feature or tool. And therefore, probably what comes to my mind, for instance, is you've heard of these huge acquisitions that Mark Zuckerberg did in terms of uh, people and how they're building this super app team focusing on AI at Meta. Probably a lot of work is going on around this space. So to conclude, the future of social media isn't a world without ads. Of course, ads will play a very great role, and it will still continue to be the dominant player and will be the biggest revenue driver. But the platform that wins the next decade, right, will be the ones that build multiple revenue engines, reduce the dependence on feed monetization, and realign the experience around value, not just attention. So ads are important, but you have to understand the ad only era built social media. The multi-engine era would define its future. Interesting, isn't it? Think about it and let me know what you think on this area on based on comments. Have a great week ahead.